Hello everyone, today I'm going to be going over some tips on how to make your lead sound design more professional sounding. There are a couple of techniques that I'm going to do. I started with a very basic lead that doesn't have any effects, and we're going to go over how to turn this into something that I think will sound good. So right now I'm going to play it in its raw form. This is going to sound pretty piercing and harsh, and we're going to go over all of the techniques to get this sounding smoother on the ears and as well fitting into your mix. So originally I put together a patch quickly that sounds like this. That's it right now. So there's a couple of problems with this that you probably noticed right away, and if you didn't, I'm going to show you kind of what to look for so you know to recognize these things with your sounds. First of all, it doesn't exist in a space yet. It's very dry, there's no reverb or anything, and as well, it's super bright, which is harsh to listen to for extended periods of time. So we're going to fix both of those problems, and that alone will make this sound a lot better. Before we do any of that though, we're going to open up the patch and talk about how we got here. So originally, I had a square wave, just like this, right? So just normal square. I turned on sync, and just turned it up until I found a position where it sounded nice. Something like that. And then as well, I have a unison saw that's an octave up, and this is just kind of following that same melody, but giving it a bit of stereo width. So the first problem that I want to solve is the brightness. You'll notice if we throw on an EQ here, I'm going to roll off the tops and just kind of find a sweet spot. See, we can kind of get away with that if we turn it off. It's just obnoxious and a bit more bright. This tames it just a little bit. There's also this random low end. You can't really hear it, but it does exist. That doesn't need to be there, so we're going to cut that too. Now we're going to start adding some things to make this wider and just sound a bit better. So in Serum, we're going to go to the Effects tab, and I love adding some chorus to a sound like this. You get a feel right away for what that does. Just finding where we want it. This is what it's doing if we put it maxed out. Giving it some width like that. Something like that sounds pretty good. That was just me trying to feel it out. And then you're going to want to throw on some reverb. This will be the biggest thing to giving it some space, but the way you use it is pretty intentional. First off, I like to max it out, so that way you can hear just the reverb, and this is where I mess with my low cut to get rid of any lows that don't need to be in there. Something like that is good. Then we're going to mess with size and decay while we mix it back in. Already this has space. You can go for a short decay like this, or up it quite a bit and make it a big beefy patch like that. I kind of like the shorter one. Another thing you could do to add some texture to this and make it more professional is enable noise, set it to bright white or something. So originally you just have some white noise like this. Can't really hear it too much because we've rolled off, but then enable distortion and set it to downsample and mess with the drive here. A little bit like that just gives it some grit and texture, which is really nice. Another technique is, of course, adding vibrato to, say, both of your oscillators like so. This just gives it a little bit of movement and variation, which is always really nice, and I've found that I pretty much never not like that sound. Just like that. Now, going back to our mixer here, a couple of additional effects we could add to make this sound a bit better. I like adding Soothe. Unfortunately, this is not a free plugin. It does cost quite a bit of money, but I love it, and I'll show you exactly why. Soothe is a dynamic resonance suppressor. Now, what that means is it basically detects frequencies that are kind of harsh and suppresses them in real time, which saves you a lot of time than doing it on like an EQ, for example, and I'll demonstrate that right here. So if I listen to what it's removing, it's just these, where if you listen to them really loud, it wouldn't sound too good. Tweak the values a bit just to really get those peaks like so. You don't want to overuse it, otherwise you get something like this, which isn't really that good. Now it has space, and the highs are pretty controlled. The next thing I'm going to add is some delay. Delay is really fun for just kind of giving it more in the background. I like to set it to ping pong mode and then adjust this, which is basically where the delay is going to exist. If you do like this, it's going to be full spectrum and just sound like the same sound, like this. Or you could do something like this. I like it maybe up here. Something like that, and then you mess with left and right, like for how long they're going to be. Default's actually pretty good there. So right now, this is sounding quite nice. I think it's a pretty professional sounding lead. And to demonstrate what we had before, we're going to take off our effects here on the mixer and as well in Serum, and just give that a listen to what it was at the beginning. versus this. The second one's a lot easier to listen to, it just sounds a lot better, and it would fit better into a mixdown with other elements like chords, bass, drums, everything like that. That's how I go about making leads sound a bit better. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like on it if you did, and drop any additional tips in the comments on what you do to your leads to make them better. But that's all for this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.